The Art and Science of Remembering Everything. This is a book summary of Moonwalking with Einstein by Joshua Foer. And if you'd like to remember more of what you learn, what you read, understand the science of memory, learn from memory champions and what they have done, watch the rest of this video because I'll break down the top takeaways, the top insights from this book, which I have all right here. Okay, so if you apply this book and you learn from these techniques, you'll realize that you don't have a bad memory. There's no such thing as a bad memory and a good memory. There are only untrained memories and trained memories. Okay, so first thing is, let's talk about page 27. You see, these are all the pages that I've outlined that I'd like to talk about, which page 27 talks about how your brain actually never forgets. It stores everything. And where have they seen this happen? They've seen this happen where, you know how people say, oh, that person's unconscious at the hospital, right? Well, what they've noticed is that, okay, this person was unconscious, and then the nurse that was hanging around that was always like bad-mouthing that person would wake up, and then they wouldn't consciously not like that nurse that was bad-mouthing them, but unconsciously they'd have grimaces. They'd have a gut intuition of not liking that person. That's what we call unconscious remembering. Okay, so on page 27, they talk about how, well, hey, this person has certain memories that with hypnosis or other techniques, they'd be able to pull that information out of the person's brain. So the problem isn't retention. You might think that, oh, this brain can only store so much. So many of us think, oh, this brain can store as much. You actually have unlimited memory. The problem is recall. Okay, there's strategies to pull the information out that most people don't have, that this book helps you with, which we will cover. The next thing is the single most common misperception, page 29, is that people believe photographic memory is real. It's not real. It's been disproven many, many times. But because of this, people think, oh, well, I shouldn't even bother. People just have better memories than me. Not true. Let's continue. Page 80 talks about unremembered learning. Look at all that. Those are the mind maps, all that stuff. Unremembered learning. So I already have this one memorized, which is, let's start with the story. A man who had chronic amnesia, where he would talk to you, meet you, and then forget everything. So they're like, well, can this person even learn? So they'd take him in every day and teach him how to draw or fill in a star with his left hand or something. And every day he would forget that he did it, forget that he would do it, forget that he would do it. But he was getting better at it every day, improving every day. So unconsciously learning. So unconscious remembering. And this is also known, some people know this as priming. Okay, so your body picks up on things and remembers it before you even consciously know that you learned it. So let's say if I'm holding a cup of coffee, you're more prone to be warmer to me because I'm holding that cup of coffee. All right, there's so many little things. And there are declarative memories and non-declarative memories. Declarative memories, I could tell you about them. I consciously know about them. I could pull them out. Non-declarative memories are memories I don't know are there, but they are affecting me. Okay, non-declarative memories. Those are the ones I worry about, really, after I learned about this. So what else do we have here? Perfect, so you covered that. Next is, let's talk about creativity in motion, page 100 to 101, which, here it is, yes. So in the World Memory Championship, so you may not have heard of this, but people train their memory and go against each other all the time. They try to remember a bunch of numbers or a deck of cards. So with the World Memory Championship, it's less about having a strong memory. It's more about having creativity. The more creativity you have, the more chance you have of having a stronger memory. So with creativity, that's I can make more connection points. And this book argues the point that if you have creativity now, you will have memory in the future later, because the creativity builds the building blocks that helps you retain something. Because if I look at something, I could connect it to a bunch of different things outside of the box thinking. That indicates You'll be able to retain it much more. Next is motion. So I'll read this to you. Animate images tend to be more memorable than inanimate images. So with that, that is from the acronym MARIE. So you could use this to remember anything, which is motion, association, repetition, imagination, and emotion. Okay, so that's motion, because when something moves in the corner of eye, we're going to look. That's instinct. That is leveraging the science of the brain. Next. Complete character. Yes, so on page 110, what they mention is that in the past centuries, people who had strong memories were usually saints, kings, people in high positions, because they knew knowledge was power. Books were actually very, very scarce. So many of these guys used memory palaces or other techniques to remember a whole book word for word, forwards and backwards. It was fascinating because books, you would actually never, most people didn't have books at home. You'd have to go visit, the book was locked down, and you'd have to read it, and that'd probably be the only time you'd read that book in months or years. So you had to have the best strategies to remember that information and store it in your brain. Okay, so once again, that is page 110, and it's right here. Strengthening one's personal ethics and becoming a more complete person. A trained memory was the key to cultivating judgment, citizenship, and piety. What one memorized helped shape one's character. Just as the secret to becoming a chess grandmaster was to learn old games, the secret to becoming a grandmaster of life was to learn old texts. In a tight spot, where could one look for guidance about how to act if not from the depths of their memory? All right, so given that an hour of memorization yields about 10 solid minutes, forget that, we don't need that. Perfect, let's continue. Next is another mnemonic, an acronym, that you could use to memorize anything. Your brain is really good at storing things that are repeated, rhythmic, rhyming, structured, and visual. Okay, so RRSV. All right, really important stuff there. Next quote that I have for you, and this is what's happening to our world right now, which is, we are becoming empty vessels. Why? Because while the quantity of knowledge available to people might increase, they themselves would come to resemble empty vessels. And this came from Socrates. He feared that all this writing, all this extra information would lead the culture down a treacherous path toward intellectual and moral decay. And he predicted it. Here's another fun fact you didn't know about, that in the Middle Ages, reading was an activity almost always carried out loud, right? It was a presentation, right? Because, one, people couldn't read, right? It was also, back then, it was very difficult to read. This is what reading used to look like. Ugh, disgusting. Perfect. All right, next one is random access memory. So your brain is fascinating. We cannot replicate it, where at any moment in any time, in real time, I could pretend this book is your brain. I could access any part of my life or memories in an instant, okay? A book is like a brain in a way, where I could flip to anywhere, instantly read it. Flip to anywhere, read it. You can't do that with an audiobook. Just instantly flip somewhere. Nope. Next one is typing. So the way people improved typing, according to the studies, was that they'd have to push higher speeds, okay? Same thing with your memory or reading speed. Just apply the same principle. Page 175 talks about how in memory championships, every year the world records are being broken. Every year. Page 203, creativity means future memory. If you have strong creativity, you will have stronger memory. Page 209, if you have stronger memory, you process the world at a much better rate. Okay, because you could always pull information all the time. And then memory, next thing, memory is like a spider web that catches new information. The more it catches, the bigger it grows. And the bigger it grows, the more it catches. So if you'd like to improve your memory, read this book, because when you improve your memory, you improve your life and the way you communicate. Thanks.